It's the U.S. Open, one of the best weeks in golf. Welcome, everyone, to Tea Time. I'm Andy, along with my fellow golf betting expert, Nick Borrman. We're breaking down the U.S. Open. We're going to go over Oakmont. We'll talk about the course. We're going to go over tons of the favorites. We're going to give you some players that can trip you up, some outrights, some long shots, and, of course, some Draftkings Darlings. We have absolutely no time to waste, so if you guys could do us a favor, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That way you get notified when all these videos come up. We're going to start with our one and done. I made a big. I was down, Nick, and then Sam Burns did me good. He almost got there. Nick is playing mind games with me because he sent me a text that was like, "Oh, Sam Burns on Sunday," and I was like, "Thanks for the jinx." And Burns blows it in the playoff, but yeah, very very close. I think I'm just over 4 million for prize money. Nick's like 100,000 behind, so it is anybody's matchup. So we're going into this week here, and I think my one and done is going to surprise quite a few people if you've watched this show. So my one and done, I'm going to Live Tour, Nick. I'm taking the money and I'm going to Live. I'm going with Joaquin Niemann. I think the floodgates may have opened a little bit for him. He finally had a really good finish at the last major. That's what I was waiting to see. And you can't argue with winning, 4 now tournaments on Live Tour. The lack of hard courses that they play does worry me, but I'm starting to be sold on Joaquin Niemann, so I'm not going to get very many chances to use him, and I think he's going to be a pretty good play this week. You just got to hit the fairways as we went over, or that we're going to go over with the rough. So Joaquin Niemann's going to be my one and done for this week. I believe you're going to the Live Tour as well. So tell us about your one and done.
Yeah, I am. For the record, I did have Scottie and Rory both in the first 2 majors, although I had them reversed. So now I'm going to move on to Bryson. I think in the beginning of the year, both of us and pretty much anybody in one and done had those 3: Scottie, Rory, and Bryson. Circled to fill out the majors. It's like, who's the 4th though? But yeah, Bryson, U.S. Open. He would have been great at the first 2 as well, with runner-up and another tie for 5 or whatever he finished the Masters. So hopefully he can be just as good this week, if not repeat. I know that's going to be hard to do, but I already used Scottie. I already used Rory. I'm not going Jocko because you are. So, it's DeChambeau. He's got the length. His iron play was pretty poor at both of the majors, so I hope he spent his last month working on it. But he's got to be the next favorite on the list. I got to go Bryson here.
I love it. So we're rooting for 2 Live guys to do well here. So let's talk about this course here, Oakmont Country Club. Nick, it's playing as a par 70. It's very strange because, 7,372 yards, and you can make the case that it's short and long. They have the longest par 3 they've ever played at the U.S. Open. That's going to be my favorite hole. It's 289-yard par 3. And then they've got 2 par 5s that are 600-plus yards. But then they sprinkle in some of these shorter par 4s. So it's a really, really interesting course. There's 170 deep bunkers. These are not easy up and down. So short game is going to have to really, really be dialed in. And, of course, the rough. That's going to be the big thing. There's been social media video about them mowing the grass to 5 inches, and that's it. So what was the story? Adam Scott played the front 9 a couple weeks ago. He hit every fairway and still shot +3. So the greens have been expanded, 8,500 square feet with the greens. It's U.S. Open, so they're going to be lightning fast. So you've got really deep rough, you've got really fast greens, you've got challenging holes. It's pretty much everything that you want in a U.S. Open. What's your take on Oakmont?
It's Oakmont. It's one of the hardest courses in the world and a great test of U.S. Open golf. The 10th time hosting, which is pretty awesome, and speaks to how well of a championship venue this really is. But the rough, we all know the rough's going to get a lot of hoopla this week, and you can watch. I mean, Bryson has plenty of videos. There's tons of videos all over social media. If somebody just dropping the ball, and I don't know where it went. So a lot of hack outs when you're hitting. Clearly, hitting fairways is going to be crucially important to being able to contend this week. I think that the greens are worth kind of discussing a little bit more because they have the 2023 restoration has enlarged them back to a much bigger size than we saw last time they played this, which was 2016. And I was watching, live from even last night, and they're just talking about like normally if you land on the greens at some of the distances you could possibly hit a green and then still have to the hole, players are just simply not used to putting from that length. Those are chipping lengths, right? That's how big these greens are. They're over 8,000 square feet on average. And to compare that, Pebble has the smallest average greens on tour. They're 3,500 square feet. I mean, these are more than twice the size. So you're going to have a lot of weird long putts, and we know with these greens, you'll see that too. They're supposed to be somewhere in the high 14 range on the stick meter as far as how fast these things are, which is, ridiculous. Most PGA Tour average is like 12 and a half. Even Augusta is like 13 and a half. So they're fast, and then you're trying to putt 70-foot putts sometimes. I mean, it's going to be really difficult. And U.S. Open's always won or lost by, that 5 to 10 foot range. You got to make a bunch of those just to keep your momentum going, saving pars, whatnot. So I also think it's funny that in the restoration of 2023, you mentioned the bunkers. They took out 42 bunkers, and they still have 168 bunkers at the golf course. So the one thing I'm waiting to get more information on, I don't know if this is true or not, but Oakmont's kind of famous for the bunkers being flat at the bottom, as opposed to concave. So like a ball will just roll up to a lip, especially at the church views, and then you're just going straight sideways. I've heard, I don't know if this is verified yet, but I've heard that they've been raking them up a little bit from the bottom to try to give them a little pitch back away from the lips. But I don't know if that's yet true or not. So it'll be interesting to see how those bunkers play, because if they are flat and they do roll up the lips, again, just another waste of a shot right there. So you got to keep the ball on the fairway, or you are just simply not going to be in contention this week.
Think the winner is under par?
I did my I'm in a pool for all the majors. I set the winning score today at 3 under. I don't know if I feel great about it. I might revise that as I continue to watch highlights and hear from the players as the week goes on. But I put it at 3 under right now. It might only be one guy that gets there. You know what I mean? It might be only one person.
That's the thing. I tend to lean into that. These guys are just so good. I was wrong last week. The course played easier than I thought. Someone did a great job in the chat. It's like, I don't know if I agree with how tough it was. And the soft conditions just, made it pretty easy. These guys are so good that if one guy gets out to a good one, everyone's chasing, and you're going to have guys taking chances. And I think there's a couple guys that will get to under par. Certainly not going to be not going to be way under par, but I agree. I think 3 under sounds about right. So let's take a look at my favorite hole. It's got to be this 289-yard par 3, Nick. I mean, this was the easiest selection for favorite hole I think I've had all year. I mean, it's 250 yards to carry to the front of the green. So do the math there, Nick. If it's 250 to carry just the front and it's a 290 yard, to your point, this green is a monster. So even if you do happen to get it on the green, you're left with this ridiculously long putt. There's a fairway area in front of the bunkers. So, you've got your tee, then you got a little bit of a fairway, and then you've got these bunkers that just, kind of surround it. I think you're going to see guys laying up on this one short of this bunk. I do.
Might not be a bad play to spin a wedge in there, yeah.
Yeah, because if these bunkers are hard to get, up and down for, I think you might see them lay it up and just say, I'll take my chances on a 30 or 40 yard up and down here. I mean, you guys are going to have to hit 3-wood, I think, to even, try and get there. And if the green's so fast, who knows where it's going to roll? This is a fascinating hole. I think this is going to be one to watch for.
The two longest par 3s in U.S. Open history is this hole. It was 300 yards, and it was 299. Rumor is one of the days they're going to go to 301, just to beat that.
Oh, just to.
It will be, this hole will be the top 3 par 3s in U.S. Open history is this hole 3 times.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We'll go to the 18th hole rating. I don't know, hot take. This hole's okay. I know it's got some, good history to it, but I just think if you hit the fairway, it takes a lot of the bite out of it. It's all about the drive. So, I mean, obviously most holes are, but if you hit the fairway, it's a pretty straightforward shot. So it's a pretty big green. There's going to be a lot of pars, couple of sprinkled in birdies and, some bogeys. So landing area in the fairway is not wide. It has deep bunkers on the right and the left. So wayward drives are going to be a big problem. That's where you bring some of the bigger numbers into play. I give it a 5.1. Just it's straight. I don't know. I'm not that impressed with it. So I gave it a 5.1. I kind of went a little bit more on a finishing hole. I know this hole has caused some drama in the past, but I don't know. It's such a unique course and so many different, crazy holes. This one seems a little bit straightforward to me. So that's my hot take on the 18th hole. So we are running a special this week, everyone. You can get both my plays and Nick's plays for one price. We got it discounted down to $39. That includes 5% plays, which these are majors. So we love about the majors is the books give us a ton of different props and a ton of different matchups. So there's really, really good ones. I was looking at the nationality props, licking my chops on some of those, Nick. So really excited for the matchups. So we do this pretty much every major. So you can get both of our plays. There's no promo code needed. You just go to my page or Nick's page. Nick's page is wt.buzz/NB. My page is wt.buzz/AL. Basically buy one, get one free. Get all of our plays there at wagertalk.com. All right, let's take a look at the total strokes gained here. Of course, it's littered with the biggest names in golf here, and we're going to break down each one of these guys. So go and walk us through here, Nick, and tell us anything that initially stuck out to you.
Well, this is the literal top of the odds board as well, so there's really no surprises here as far as why these guys are listed as they are. I think we can touch on everybody here on the screen real quick, Andy. I'll start with Scottie. I don't think anybody needs to be explained to why he's the favorite. But two stats I love from Scottie that just point to him being the guy to beat this week is his approach play. So in the last 12 months, Scottie's averaging plus 1.57 strokes gained on approach. Very solid, obviously. Well, the next best, Colin Morikawa, isn't even over 1. He's at 0.94. Wow. I mean, to put that, it doesn't – if you don't know the numbers behind golf and what strokes gained is or how much that is worth, it's a full half a stroke is ridiculous. Think about that. 1.57 to 0.94. The rest of the PGA Tour is in that range. I mean, is all crammed up. It's like Scottie's here, the rest of PGA Tour all crammed in this little area, and he's just, hey, what's up, guys? So far ahead. That is huge. And honestly, he's the best combination of both power and accuracy off the tee. Yeah, Bryson's longer. Yeah, Rory's longer. There's plenty of guys that are longer off the tee, but his ability to hit the fairways with that length, he doesn't care about being 15 yards behind those guys because his iron play is that good. And AKA, that's how Tiger won. Everything he won, the best iron player ever in the world. So that's Scottie. The one other stat I love about him, bounce back. Bounce back is the opposite of what I do. When I make a birdie, I go double. When he makes a bogey, he's number 1 on tour in bounce back. That's the ability to then make a birdie on your next hole. He's over 35%. 1/3 of the time he makes a bogey, he's coming right back with a birdie. Now this week, maybe it's not a birdie immediately following it because we know they're going to be scarce, but a par will probably be on average a half a stroke better than the field no matter what hole it is. So even that is going to be gaining him strokes. And at Quail Hollow, it was interesting that obviously he won there. The number was in all the holes he made a bogey. The very next hole, he was a total of 7 under for the tournament. The guy's got
wow.
The guy comes back. He just puts it behind him and he goes. So, and again, at the U.S. Open, you've got to avoid going bogey, 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 and getting into that 3-4 hole rut where you just can't get out of it, and no one can do it better than him. So, Scottie's there. Andy, do you want to touch on a couple of the live guys? I don't know if you want to talk about Rahm,
sure,
or DeChambeau.
Yeah, Rahm keeps finishing top 10 on live. We keep cashing that bet. My concern with these guys on live is these courses that they're playing, when they drive it into the rough, there's really no penalty. The rough that on these courses are very easy. So when you're looking at their stats, you're going to see that they're not accurate off the tee. Not really sure that that's applicable here because they're going to have to be. They're going to have to take a little bit off of their swing just to hit the fairway. I mean, I really believe I would much rather be 20 yards short and in the fairway than 20 yards up and into this rough. I mean, there was a video of a guy trying to hit a gap wedge out of the rough, and he hit it 30 yards. I mean, it's like you said, this rough is almost a 1-stroke penalty there. So lack of accuracy off the tee is a concern for Rahm. I think where Rahm is at in his career, listen, I've been pretty open about this. I don't think some of these guys still have the killer instinct. I think Rahm is just a top 20 guy when he comes to the majors now, as opposed to competing for the win. I just don't think he's got it to compete with guys like Scheffler or even Bryson on these really, really hard courses. So I think a top 20 finish would be really good for Rahm. Top 10 would be a really good finish. But is he going to compete for the win? I don't believe it. So I think he's going to spray a couple drives, and his mentality is much better. He was a big hothead when he first started. He's definitely gotten a lot better with that, but I just don't think he's got the elite game that he did a few years ago. So I think Bryson does have the elite game. He's shown it time in, time out at the majors. When he shows up, he's ready to go. I mean, he really does screw around on Live. I mean, he's there just to put on a show, which is great. That's what Live wants. I don't think he really cares about winning on Live, but when he shows up to the majors, he's there, and he is driving the ball straight. Yes. He's more accurate than Rahm and Neiman off the tee. Combine that with the length, so I think he's going to be there at the end. His game sets up really, really well for it. So Rahm and DeChambeau, I think DeChambeau's more going to challenge for the win as opposed to Rahm. So I'll let you talk about Rory, because I'll get to Rory and players that can trip you up. Okay. So I'll let you talk about Rory.
Well, to back up DeChambeau, and yeah, he's the best driver of the golf ball in the world. There's no question in my mind. And what hurt him at Quail Hollow is like what I mentioned in the one and done, where he's got to do better. He lost 4 strokes on approach at Quail Hollow, yet still finished runner-up. That's how good he's driving the golf ball and how good he can get up and down around the green. So he's got to do better here. You mentioned the rough. I mean, yeah, hitting out of the rough is one thing, but no spin. There's so many greens here that slope away from the way you're hitting into the greens, mainly being they go front to back. So if you land on these greens and they don't have spin out of that rough, they're just going to roll through the green, and now you're chipping back out of the rough. So it's going to be very difficult. But Bryson is one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, at combination of accuracy and distance. Rory, yeah, you'll talk about him. I think most people, maybe not most people, but I know you and I are on the same page. He is definitely a guy to avoid right now. After that Masters, the whole driver incidents with what's coming out. Obviously, then last week at the Canadian Open, again, maybe he was just there to get his fee for going, but man, that was hard to watch that second round. It's not like he played great on Thursday either, but he is all out of sorts, and I just got to wonder how mentally he's going to be right. I'm putting Rory at, he peaked for the season. That's it. He might play well a couple more times, but he peaks, and that's fine. I mean, he did what he needed to do this year, so good for him. Morikawa, I like, is an interesting guy this week. He is just so good tee to green, so accurate. And again, you talk about 2 strokes, 3 strokes on average around simply by hitting fairways is what you're going to do better than the field. That's going to add up. So I would be very surprised to not see Morikawa in the top 10 and challenging for something on Sunday. His weakness is putting, but because his tee to green game is so good and that alone is going to be the decider here, I don't know that the putting is going to necessarily hurt him this week, if you follow me. So I think Morikawa will be there. And then I'll hit on Xander and let you go for Fleetwood there. Xander, it's hard. I mean, he's at 20-1, which is awesome. We haven't seen that price for him on a major. Last year he was at 10-1, 12-1 a lot of the years, and obviously playing some of the best golf. But everybody knows the U.S. Open stat, or I think you do. 7 out of 8 top 10s. His worst finish in 8 U.S. Opens is a tie for 14th. That's absolutely insane. I mean, that's like Tiger's made cut streak at Augusta. You're like, just when he teased it up, you're like, just come on, Tiger, make the cut. I want to keep that streak going. I do want to see Xander's streak of being no worse than 14th at a U.S. Open continue, because I like the guy and I hope he plays well. I don't know if his game's in the right spot right now to do that, but I am rooting for you, Xander. So good luck, buddy.
Fleetwood, I think it would not surprise me if some of these guys like Fleetwood, even the notables, guys like Connors, Lowry, and Straka, where they're not that long off the tee, but they're accurate, and Fleetwood is accurate off the tee. He's not long. Here's where I think the lack of length is not that big of a deal. I mean, those par 5s that are 600-plus yards, I don't think anybody's going to have a chance to go for it, too. I mean, maybe Bryson, if he absolutely sparks one, he gets down there. But the danger of going for it, too, is you got to swing for the fences on that second shot. You do not want a wayward second shot, So I think guys like Fleetwood and Straka, I think they're going to have their chances to do really well. This is a take your par and get out of there. And that's what Fleetwood does. His putting is good. His around the green is good. His approach is good. His off the tee is good. His weakness is his lack of length. I think he's got a real chance to for a top 10 on this one. Justin Thomas, putting has been lights out last 3 months. He's one of the best on tour. I'm looking at plus 0.72 putting. Again, driving accuracy isn't quite there, and that is absolutely terrifying for guys like Schauffele and Thomas and Rory. So, if can Thomas's putting overcome some of the wayward drives? Probably not. I think he's going to have a struggle this week. That would be a guy I would be pretty terrified to look at. So I went over Neiman, and we'll talk about him a little bit more a little bit later. But what's your thought on Cantlay this week? What?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me because you know my thought on Cantlay. It's the same as yours. Andy, for the sake of everybody that's watching the show, Andy and I will not bet him just so you have a chance, because Andy and I have never gotten Patrick Cantlay right on a bet. So he has the game. He has the pedigree to contend here. He has results at U.S. Opens that are pretty solid. But again, guy's never really hit. He's never won a major. He's never really contended truly at the major. And so he's just, will he be there in the end? I'd be surprised if he wasn't, but I cannot touch him. I will not touch him. But that's for the sake of everybody watching the show, because we will only make the bet result worse. The notables at the bottom, Andy, I put all these guys here for a reason. At the Truist at Philly Cricket a couple of weeks ago, I said I'm going all plotters, all guys that are hitting fairways, and it worked out very well.
Nice.
I'm doing the same thing this week, and those guys right there in that list are them. I mean, Connors and Straka are my two favorite. Lowry's right there, but those guys just don't miss. Straka is second best iron player in the world behind only Scottie, and second best on tee to green this year on PGA Tour strokes gained behind only Scottie. So he deserves his place there. Third again at the Memorial, quietly. I don't even realize anybody was talking about him. I'm like, wait, he finished third? The guy's amazing. Oh, I did have him for the one and done there. I forgot about that. Corey Connors, he's been steady. So I'd be very surprised not to see him there as well. And Lowry, last week we were right. We were against Lowry. I don't know. Hang on. The odds were, you said, and we both agreed, like he's either got to miss the cut, for you to be right, or he's got to finish like top 5 maybe for me to be right. He finished like 12th. He was right in that, like, I don't know who was really right there zone. So, but he played decent. I expect him to do the same again.
I love these guys. I love the value on guys like Straka, Lowry, Connors. If you guys like doing make the cut parlays, I think these are the guys that you focus on because you're getting really, really good odds. I will tell you, 3-1 on Rory McIlroy to miss the cut has my attention.
Wow.
He bet +9 at the Canadian Open. Are you serious? I mean, I know he probably didn't care too much about it. There was one hole where he was having to search for his ball around abandoned train tracks. What are we doing, Rory?
The biggest concern with his driver was he was missing both ways, right? It's one thing if you just keep missing one way or the other. They can work with that, but it's going to be in his head, man. He's not going to know where the hell to aim. He's better be.
Yeah.
These guys can figure it out pretty quick usually, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. All right, let's go to players that can trip you up, and the cat's out of the bag on this one. First one, of course, is Rory McIlroy. We've gone over him. He's just a mess. Nick, he even came out and said, I'm not as focused now that I have the Grand Slam. I'm just not as focused. He can't stop talking about the driver issue. He's still mad about it, about that it was deemed illegal. And it clearly is in his head. I think people are going to put Rory in their matchups. I think they're going to put him in DFS, and I think it's more likely that he misses the cut than makes the cut. To be honest with you, I mean, I really do. I could not be more out on Rory McIlroy this week. Bad drive, bad mindset. Coming off a +9 at the Canadian Open, that just spells disaster. So Rory McIlroy is going to be my first player that can trip you up. Let's just keep rolling with fading Brooks Koepka. His last 4 finishes on LIV are 33rd, 17th, 30th, and 18th. That's on LIV. I missed the cut at the 2 majors this year. Price is a top 15 guy to win. That is insanity. That is absolutely insanity. His driving accuracy is bad. His putting is worse. And his around the green is even worse than that. This is just not the Brooks Koepka that competed for majors. I'm completely out on him. I saw our good friends at betonline.ag have Matthew Fitzpatrick against Brooks Koepka as a matchup. Sign me up. Sign me up. There's another guy that I would take to miss the cut, Brooks Koepka. So, and then the last guy is I'm going to go to Schauffele. My buddy actually sent me some of the driving stats this morning. Do you know Xander and Rory are hitting less than 50% of their fairways? That is
I did not know that, but that is not good here.
that is not going to go well. So, yeah, it's just, I just don't think he ever quite recovered from that injury, or he's just been playing catch up the whole year. Last year he was a top 10 machine. I mean, that was one of the best bets that you could have, was Xander top 10. It's not the case this year. So wayward drives are just going to spell big time trouble. 25th at the last major, and he's priced as a top 5 guy this week. So there's absolutely no chance that I'm betting on them. So Rory McIlroy, Brooks Koepka, Xander Schauffele, those are definitely 3 guys that I am 100% going to stay away from.
You mentioned the driving percentages for Rory and Xander. Straka's 72%.
That's what we're saying. Morikawa's up there's like 77% or something. Like,
I mean,
those are the guys that I want to bet on this week.
That's 10, 11 fairways around, out of 14. I guess this is going to be 16. So you're talking about maybe 12 fairways hit versus 8, 9. Just assuming the percentages hold true.
Yeah,
that's 3 shots around, easy.
Absolutely. That's the difference between being in contention and missing the cut. Yeah. those shots right there. So, all right, let's go to your favorite. I love this one. We talked about him already, but just give us some more stats on Collin Morikawa.
Yeah, I really had a deep dive to tell you guys to bet Scottie Scheffler this week. So
thanks for tuning in.
Morikawa, really not a deep dive either. I mean, he's usually one of the top, 5, 10 options as far as betting goes in these big tournaments. But we talked about him already as far as just he's gonna beat the field by so many strokes just tee to green that alone is going to put him somewhere near the top of the leaderboard come Sunday. I mean, we talk about the winning score, maybe a couple guys getting under par. I mean, simply making par on all 72 holes might give you a chance to win this week, and I think he's going to be great at that. When you play in some of these tournaments where they're scoring a little bit lower, he just simply can't make enough birdies because he's not the best putter, right? But he puts himself in position to do so. That's not going to hurt him here, right? If he just does the same thing there and he's making pars, he is going to slowly be beating the field a half a stroke at a time. So that's going to add up. He's 5th strokes gained tee to green, 6th strokes gained approach, 2nd in driving accuracy, 8th proximity to the hole. His weaknesses, 51st in putting, we mentioned that, and 92nd around the green. So that is the concern, of course, because everybody's going to miss some greens. I'm just thinking, over the course of 72 holes, he might miss 10 less greens than somebody else, a couple other guys, or at least the field average, and that alone should kind of mask his weakness, at least in relation to the rest of the field. That's my thought. That's my theory. But 25-1 on Morikawa, I think is very good. I mean, we've seen him 14-1, 16-1, 18-1 at a lot of these majors. So 25-1, I think is really, really good price for Collin this week. And the top 10s plus 225, top 20 is right around even money. I think there's a lot of good options here on Collin this week.
I'm not saying, but I am just saying that BetOnline has Collin Morikawa versus Rory McIlroy as I'm just throwing that out.
Okay.
I'm just saying that you can get Collin Morikawa at minus 105. So.
Now, and it's spending limited.
Just lobbing that out there. So, listen, guys, if you're watching and enjoying the content, do us a little favor and just hit the like button, and also leave us a comment. The comment section is crushing this year. Tell us who you like this week. Tell us why. I'm interested to see if any of you guys are on the Bombers this week, or if you're as terrified as these long guys and the not accurate guys off the tee. So tell us who you like this week in the comment section. Always love seeing who you guys are betting, and you guys have been right quite a bit. The great call in the comment section about how the course is going to play easier than we thought. So fantastic job in the comment section. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you're doing that. We're well over 205,000 subscribers. So that many people can't be wrong. We're doing something right. So you get notified when all of these videos go live. I know Total Bases, if you're a baseball fan, that goes live every weekday, and they are absolutely crushing it. I love waking up and watching that show. So I host Wager Talk Today every day at noon Eastern. So make sure you subscribe. That way you get notified about all of those shows when they go live. And again, you can get both of our plays, one price, discounted down to $39. That includes all plays over all 4 days. So any daily props that we have, round scores, 5% best bets. Those are all included. We love doing this for majors. It's kind of a little token of appreciation. So one price, $39. There's no promo code needed. You can just go to Nick's page, wt.buzz/NB, or my page, wt.buzz/AL. All right, let's do Draftkings Darlings. All my Draftkings Darlings made the cut last week, and two of my big guys did not make the cut because that's just how it works. But listen, we it's another cash. We finished 74th out of 200 people in the 55th, so that's always gonna make you money here. So I'm gonna touch on Nick Taylor here a little bit, not just Draftkings Darlings. Nick, he's minus 140 to make the cut. You can get some really good matchups, and I just love how Nick Taylor is playing right now, and I think his game is set up really well. He's missed the cut in 3 straight U.S. Opens, but this recent form, he's finished 17th or better in 3 out of the last 4 tournaments. His weakness is distance off the tee, as we touched on. I just don't think that's going to be a big issue. He's accurate. He's putting. He has great putting numbers and great accuracy off the tee. So if we're at Oakmont and you're accurate off the tee and your putting is good, and I get you at 6,300 in DraftKings, sign me up. I think Nick Taylor should be in everyone's DraftKings lineup this week. Max Grazerman, 6,400, made the cut in 6 straight events, finished 21st last year at the U.S. Open, so he's shown the ability to navigate some tough courses. Tee to green numbers are good, but it's at plus 0.63 strokes gained putting the last 30 days. That's got my attention. So Grazerman, 6,400. And then I'm going to go to Ben on 9 made cuts in the last 10 tournaments. He made the cut at the Masters and the PGA Championship. His putting's not very good. And he has been a little bit inaccurate off the tee, but it just hasn't affected him on missing the cut. So 9 out of 10 tournaments where you're making the cut and I get you at 6,500, that gives me a lot of room to put in some of the bigger name guys. He finished 6th last week, so I'm just going to hope the momentum carries him in. So our final lineup is going to be up at my page, wt.buzz/AL. It's free digital download, free article. It's got the course write-up. It's got all the write-ups on the players that can chirp you up, as well as all the DraftKings Darlings. It's got my final DraftKings lineup. This has been by far my best year in DFS, like by far. We're winning 3 out of 4 weeks. So it's really, really been fun. It's really been a good year. If you're interested in DFS, make sure you check out that article over at wagertalk.com. All right, let's go to another worthy long shot, we're calling him. And we're looking at Ben Griffin. Nick, his story about his eyesight, I had no idea.
Yep.
I'll let you tell that story. That was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, about his floaters, basically, right? He wears these sunglasses because of the floaters in his eyes, and everybody at first was just roasting him because he looks like Phil, because Phil wears aviators too. But it makes sense, and now you kind of have a different. I don't know. You looked at him. I always looked at the aviators because I wore them as a kid, and I was like a punk. Like, oh, that guy, right? So you kind of had that feeling towards him. Now you're like, all right. He's cool. It's no surprise that I'm suggesting him. I mean, he's been red hot, obviously. Recency bias, certainly here, but golf is a lot of that. And, you got to ride the hot hand when it comes because it can fall off and then it's hard to get back on. So we're going to ride that. It's just hard to ignore what he's done the last 6 weeks. He started with the breakthrough with the Zurich with Novak, right? The partners, they finally got that PGA Tour win. And you hear it all the time. It just takes that first one. Scottie was a good example. Then, boom, there you go. He piggybacked that into a tie for 8th at the PGA Championship, a win, obviously, at the Charles Schwab Challenge, where he basically ran away, including beating Scottie by several shots, and then 2nd at the Memorial to Scottie. So he's right there, winning or being in that top 5 each of those last few starts. His putting has been absolutely insane. So there's a worry that will eventually fall off, but his short game's been very good. His irons have been lights out. Driving is the wild card, but right now, better than it has been all seasons, clearly, and that's why he's doing what he's doing. So we're putting a lot of stock here into his recent form because his major championship history, very short, doesn't really have any good history in this regard. And his previous success just on the tour in general before this year is really not that great. So realistically, I don't think he's going to win this, but top 10, top 20, will he be in the mix? I'm curious to see who he's matched up against with the books. They're not dumb. They might make it pretty difficult for us, but Ben Griffin's playing so well, it's hard not to want to get money on him in some way this week, and I like his story now, knowing a little bit more about his eyesight. So Ben Griffin, I hope you play well. I'm going to bet you somehow. Just not quite sure if the outright's going to cash this week, but I think that top 10 I'm really loving.
Yeah, I mean, he said he's like said like if they hadn't caught it, like it was like 6 months away from losing his eyesight.
Losing it, yeah.
It's terrifying. My gosh.
If there's one thing, it's like, can you imagine losing your eyesight? I mean, you take it for granted because you have them. But I have a friend of mine that grew up with eyesight, lost it over time, some macular degeneration or something. I'm just like, greatest spirit in the world every day. I just don't.
Wow. Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
So 6 months away from losing your eyesight. Now you're on the PGA Tour competing for wins. Pretty wild. So, someone asked if we could go through some head-to-head matchups. And yeah, they do not have them out on the domestics at the time of recording, but I'll go through some of these in the matchups on Bet Online. So, I'll just read some of them and just give me quick thoughts. Let's go Ludwig Aubert and Justin Thomas. Thoughts on that matchup?
That's pretty difficult. Ludwig, obviously, he was for both of us was a stay away from, but his last 2 starts have been pretty solid. So maybe he's coming back around. His iron play is very, very good. His putting we know is horrible. So again, I'm still going off the premise if your cheetah green's that good, then your putting might not. It could get masked a little bit. But if I had to choose between the two, I don't know. Honestly, that's a hard for me. I would not probably touch that matchup. Gun to my head. JT.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Sepp Straka and Victor Hovland.
Straka all day, not even a question.
Me too. I think that's going to make the client card. That's why I brought that up. I think that's probably a pretty good play there. Let's go to the winner, Ryan Fox and Jason Day. Ryan Fox come out of nowhere. I think it was 80-1 at the Canadian Open. So Ryan Fox and Jason Day, what do you think?
Obviously, Ryan Fox is playing fantastic. He's got 2 wins in the last month. But how, back to back, like, what's the expectation here coming back this week? But he is not fearing anything. If he keeps that driver going the way he has, it's hard not to want to ride a hot hand. I think just coming off the win, he grinded a lot. He had to get in that playoff. He had to, pull off some incredible shot there at the end to do it. He might get off to a slow start. You get off to a slow start here. See ya. So. I might go the other way on that one just because. And Jason Day, I never really look at him that much. I never really bet him, but he never really just blows up. He's just kind of there. So yeah, I think we're going to at least get that out of Jason. I just don't know what we're going to get out of Ryan.
Sung J M and Siwoo Kim. Got to tell you, I love Siwoo Kim in that matchup. I was looking at the nationalities and, top Korean. Sung Jae's the favorite. I disagree. Missed the cut last week. His irons are a complete disaster right now. He does drive the ball pretty straight, but it's those irons that are terrible. I like Siwoo in that matchup.
I agree with you. Siwoo is the way to go on that one too. Sung Jae just hasn't been the guy this year.
Yeah. Let's dive really, really deep here. Dustin Johnson and Johnny Vegas. I'm betting anybody against Dustin Johnson these days. Dustin's the favorite, even though it's Johnny Vegas. I'm taking Vegas over DJ. What do you think?
I'll always fade the guy that puts out the ridiculous photos with the wife the week of a major championship. Did you see those on this page on Twitter or on X? Where I don't know, him and his hot wife, of course, put out some weird pictures of them just whatever lounging, being cute. I don't know, but yeah, he's not in it. Avoid DJ. Although he did win here, 2016, 4 under. DJ first major. Crazy, right?
That feels like 100 years.
I know. It was
so long ago. And we'll end on a big one. Rory versus Xander.
Ooh,
Xander all day for me.
Xander with the U.S. Open pedigree and the fact that I think here's the thing about Rory. This is what I've seen. This is what I think most people would agree to. As soon as it starts going a little south for him, other than the Augusta rally this year, he usually does not bounce back. But Xander will grind no matter where he's at. And I think that's why his U.S. Open record is as good as it is. So even though he's not playing maybe at the Xander level where you're accustomed to the last 2 seasons, he's good. He's gonna do everything he can every shot. So I like Xander for that reason.
Yeah, I'm agreement. It's just a full Rory fade. And when I say a full Rory fade, I'm not going to have like 7 bets fading Rory. I'm just going to pick my spots and, make sure we're betting responsibly. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Again, if you haven't hit the like button, please do that for us and make sure you leave us a comment. Tell us who you like for this week. And again, one last time, you can get both of our plays for the U.S. Open. One price, discounted down to $39. No promo code needed. Appreciate you guys watching. Good luck on your bets. This should be an absolutely fantastic U.S. Open. And we'll get you guys set up for next week because golf season never stops, man. There's always profits to be had. Thanks very much. Good luck on your bets. Take care.